Hey folks, Coach Mike Thomas here. Today's video I want to address something that's really important for all of us to know and understand. There's a ton of information out there and a lot of it's conflicting about what we should eat for optimum health. I love the video that I'm getting ready to present to you. It's a 2-minute clip from a Rich Roll podcast that I'll show you in just a second. But in this video it addresses what should I eat? As a health coach for nearly 5 years, I've had a ton of people come to me to say, yeah, you're the plant guy. I know I'm supposed to eat more vegetables and fruits and such, but really what should I eat or what should I not eat? This video takes care of that. Let's get to it. Hello again, Mike Thomas here. I'm a health coach, board certified. I'm also board certified in lifestyle medicine. If you're new to my channel, I've converted from a registered pharmacist to a health coach. I help people lose weight by incorporating more plants into their diet. If this video resonates with you, I'd love you to like it. I'd love you to share it, even subscribe. That would be very helpful. I'm trying to reach as many people as possible. I'm about to show you a 2-minute clip on a Rich Roll podcast that came down a couple of weeks ago. Very powerful information. In the video, and I'll have a link to the video and the podcast in my description below, Rich Roll interviews Dr. Christopher Gardner. Dr. Christopher Gardner is one of the world's leading nutrition experts. He is a nutrition researcher. He's the director of nutritious studies at Stanford University in California. And he's a professor of medicine at Stanford University. It goes without saying that he knows his stuff and has been studying this for over 30 years. He will help to clarify what we should eat and what we should not eat in this video. So the 2-minute clip that I want to show you from the podcast interview, he's in the middle of discussing the top 10 diets in America. And what are the 4 things that those top 10 diets all have in common? Let's listen to what he has to say in this 2-minute clip.
And then the public said, what does that mean? Should I be vegan or should I be Mediterranean or should I be paleo? And I said, you know what? We should do another paper on patterns. So instead of individual components, how many of these popular dietary patterns out there could be consistent with this set of domains?
In other words, like the overlap in the Venn diagram between all of these different perspectives.
And so I want to focus on the overlap at first. So the 10 patterns we picked were the DASH diet, that's the dietary approaches to stop hypertension, Mediterranean, 3 types of vegetarians. We had pesca, we had the ovo-lacto-vegetarian, we had vegan, sort of a higher fat vegan. We also had a really low-fat vegan diet. We had a low-carb, a low-fat, a paleo, and a keto. I hope that was 10 because we had 10 patterns. And we tried to match them up to the 10 domains. And we scored them from high to low. And DASH and Mediterranean got the best score, and paleo and keto got the worst score as you were matching these domains. And happy to go into some of those details if you want. But one of my takeaways that I thought was great was across all 10, they all said more vegetables, more whole foods, less added sugar, and less refined grain across all 10. Now, this could be a trivial response if those are things we already did. Those are 4 of the biggest problems with the US diet. We don't eat many vegetables. We eat a lot of ultra-processed food. We eat a crap ton of added sugar and a crap ton of refined grain. So for me, this is a kumbaya moment. Oh my God, all the patterns agree on 50% of probably what plagues human health associated with diet. Why don't we all get together and work on that?
That's no fun.
Yes, it's not as, the clickbait doesn't work, but we really all agree on those. And those are all big issues. The one extra one I'd love to add in there is beans. I actually think eating more beans is probably the biggest thing Americans could do to change their diet in a positive way. And there's so many kinds of beans, culturally appropriate, lots of unapologetically delicious dishes with lentils and chickpeas and kidney beans and refried beans. Oh my God. But you wouldn't get the paleo and keto in there, right? Because they're super low carb and beans are full of carbs. So if you, after the 4 things I mentioned first that they all agree on, the next ones I would add would be beans.
So pretty powerful information. So 4 things. Number 1, eat more vegetables. Number 2, eat whole foods. Whole foods are in its natural form, i.e. foods that are not processed. 60% of the calories that Americans eat on an ongoing basis come from processed foods. So this second bullet tells us to try to increase our whole foods and decrease our processed foods. Number 3, decrease added sugars. Very important. And the last one, number 4, is to decrease refined grains. Things like white bread and white pasta, and white rice and crackers, pastries. I think it's probably obvious, but I'm going to state it anyway. The first bullet is to eat more vegetables. As a percentage of our calories, as I mentioned just a moment ago, 60% of our calories comes from processed foods. Only 10% of our calories comes from plants. Think about what we can do to increase that percentage from 10% to 20% to 30%. So we eat way too much in processed foods. We eat way too much in added sugars. You can see that in the diabetes levels that are going on today as well. And we don't eat nearly enough vegetables and don't eat nearly enough unrefined grains, but we eat way too many refined grains. So from those 4 bullet points, I just want to state there's 3 categories of foods. There's the green light foods, things like fruits and vegetables, things that we know we're supposed to be eating. There's the red light foods like your cookies and crackers and the junk, things that we know we're not supposed to be eating. And there's the yellow light foods. And if we just leave the yellow light foods, things like dairy and eggs and chicken or what have you, if we just leave that alone for the time being, I definitely will address that in future videos. But if we just leave the yellow light foods alone and we work to decrease the red light foods, things like cookies and crackers and cakes and candies and pizzas, and we increase the green light food, think about what that can do for our long-term health, right? It's incredibly important. So we don't need to overcomplicate this. We know the things we should be increasing and we know the things that we should be decreasing on a consistent basis. We don't have to overcomplicate this. But really, what's changed? Why does it really matter? Well, one reason is because what's happened with obesity levels. In the last 50 years alone, obesity levels have gone through the roof. Just 1980, so just really less than 50 years ago, the average obesity level in America, that's a BMI of over 30, was 15% of the population. And by the early 2000s, just a shade over 20 years later, that number, 30%. Today, the latest numbers we have are from 2018, but it's 42%. And please understand, these are obesity numbers. These are not overweight numbers. Unfortunately, the percentage of Americans that are overweight or obese is almost 74% from 2021 numbers. So there's significant opportunity. So what's changed? Clearly, we still have the same lineage. Clearly, we have the same hereditary. We have the same families. We have the same uncles and aunts and cousins. So it's not like our genes have changed. What's changed is the environment. What's changed is the food. And the last thing I want to say is those numbers with regards to obesity are very scary and obviously are a tremendous burden on the individuals that have obesity, on the healthcare system, etc. But also children. The rate for children's obesity has gone from 5% in the 1980s to almost 20%. So it's literally quadrupled. This is the percentage of the population that's growing greater and faster at a faster rate, unfortunately. Last couple comments I want to make about this video, not to overcomplicate things, but I want you to know it's important to simplify this and understand where you want to go as it relates to what you want to fuel your body with. And that's the comment that he mentions about beans at the end. Very, very powerful comment about beans. Much of what he says is in alignment with what the Blue Zone studies show as well. The Blue Zones are regions throughout the world where people live better and live healthier and live longer. There's about 7 or 8 of them in the entire world. And one of the things that they have in common is they all have and consume a great number of beans. So you have to think about, well, who's doing this right health-wise, and what can I do to increase my level of activity in a more of alignment with where they are? Again, the people in the Blue Zones have the highest life expectancy and the lowest chronic health disease. Some very powerful stuff. The last couple things I want to say, the first one is this is not about being perfect. I don't have any clients that are 100% whole food plant-based, they eat all plants. I don't have any clients. I'm not that way actually either. So please understand this isn't about perfection. This is about just making baby steps and progresses along the way to be your most healthy self, knowing that you want to increase your plants in your life and decrease some of the junk that's out there. So that's the first thing. The second thing I want to say is, as a call to action, I'd love to hear from you. Which one of those 4 bullets really resonates for you? where you don't maybe get enough vegetables, where you eat a tremendous amount of processed foods and you know and you feel like that's an area that you'd like to decrease, where you have way too many added sugars, whether that's soda or candies or cookies or candy bars or what have you. You know that's an area potentially that you struggle with. And what about refined grains? Is that an area with the white breads and the white pastas and the white rices and stuff? Is that an area where you potentially struggle with as well? I'd love to hear from you. Let me know where you are and where you'd like to potentially make some differences as well. That's it for now. Please feel free to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel, trying to get it out to as many people as possible. Please know that there's many businesses and many industries that are counting on your being confused and throwing your hands up in the air and saying, well, it doesn't really matter anyway because there's a lot of conflicting information out there. This 2-minute clip from the Rich World episode clearly shows that we have a lot more in alignment for where we want to do and pursue our better health. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for more.